Um, the deeper cut of this is the role should shift when the child can survive without you.
Mm,
Okay. So the
okay.
role should shift when the child can survive without you.
Okay.
The role actually shifts when the parent, like, so it should shift when the kid can survive without you, but the role will shift when the parent is in acceptance. Okay.
Mm,
Right. That a change has occurred.
mm,
So oftentimes, most of the time, the conflict begins with the parent's inability to accept that the shift has occurred, that the kid is no longer dependent on us to teach, maybe, but more to guide
okay.
and to release. Yeah. I no longer get to shape you, I only get to know you. That's the next step.
Mm. Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Unapologetically 50 Plus. My name is Angela. So, today we are talking about relationships between parents and their adult children. So, what happens when role shifts, expectations change, and connections have to evolve? This isn't about blame or getting it right. It's about understanding how we move from parenting into relating, how we listened, and boundaries show up, and how boundaries show up in this season, and what repair can look like when things feel strained or unclear. Today, I am joined by therapist Temple Jackson for an honest, thoughtful conversation that many of us are living in real time. Oh, sorry about that, you guys. But before we get started, I have one huge favor to ask. If you find any value or enjoy the content, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, because that really helps the algorithms and it helps people find me, and so they can join in on the conversation. And also, you can find me on Spotify. So thank you. I truly appreciate your support. All right, let's get this conversation started. Hey, Temple Love, how you doing?
I am well. Hi, Angela. Nice
I
to see
haven't. Seems
you.
like we haven't seen each other in forever
This
since
is
I
true.
since I left Portugal.
Portugal. Wasn't that
Yeah,
wonderful?
you've been a busy lady, so thank you for
Yes,
coming
yes.
on. I know you're busy. You're ripping and running, trying to get everything together before you make your final move to Portugal. So I'm really happy that you could come on and
Yes,
have this
thank you.
conversation with me.
Thank you. And it was so nice to see you and meet you in person.
I
For
know that was the
everyone,
first time we met in person.
yes, for
We talked a
everyone
lot.
that's, it was wonderful. And we were like teenage girls. We camped out together in the same hotel, in the same Airbnb room.
Yep,
And
yep,
how lovely that was,
it
right? We went off
was.
and did things, and it was really wonderful. Became
Yes,
sisters.
definitely. I said you're my big sister now. You stuck with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. That was lovely. That was really lovely. We women
So,
do this.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mm,
So you brought up this topic, and
mhm.
because we were trying to figure out topics, because you said I don't want to do anything, not, you didn't say depressing, but you
Female,
did
female trauma.
female trauma. Thank you. You said you didn't want to do any female trauma, and I said fine, we don't have to do that. So what do you want to talk about? And you brought this up, and I thought, hey, this is a great idea, because most of us listening to this have adult children, and we have to know how to now shift into not being the parent, but now being, what would you call it? I mean, so let's start there.
Mm,
Why
mm,
why this topic? And yeah, why this topic?
mhm. Why this topic? Well, hello, everyone. It's good to be here again. Missed a couple of months, and Happy New Year to everyone. It's 2026.
Let's hope it gets better.
And let's all figure out how to do our part to make it better.
Amen.
You
Amen.
know, that's such a, we do have some choices. I think we live in a time when we feel very powerless, and we're
Mhm.
not wrong,
Yeah.
but we do have power over some things, our values, our attitude, our ability to be honest,
Yeah.
how we treat others.
Yeah.
especially our sisters and our brothers.
Yep.
You know, each one teach one, old stuff, but it's real.
It's
So
real. Right.
I hope that at least on that level, can become a little bit more civil in
Yeah.
2026, because God knows we're going to need it.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, yeah. So why this topic?
Yes.
Um, like you, I have adult children. I have three adult children, each over the age of 39 now. Yeah.
Wow.
And into the 40s, right? Not too deep into the 40s. 40s. But I have adult children. My adult children have their own children. And just about all of us, some folks have that wonderful, rosy, great relationship with their children. They probably were able to understand how to shift from these roles as their children matured. But many of us have difficult relationships with our adult children, me included, personal, but it's tough and it brings on a lot of heaviness, a lot of pain, a lot of resentment that then those adult children carry into right their lives and their relationships. I think it's an important topic, especially around the holidays.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your therapist opinion, or even in your own
Yeah.
personal opinion, at what point does parenting end and relating begin?
Okay, well, definitely going to go with my professional opinion on all of this, because I could see my daughters right now blasting me. Don't you ever talk about me?
I understand. I understand.
So respectfully, that has been the one thing too that would like to credit my daughters with. We've protected each other publicly,
I understand.
right? And I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing I want to say on this topic is that most adult parent conflict is not new. It's unfinished business, right? Finally demanding air.
Okay.
Yeah. And the misery often lives in the hanging on, right? So that was the whole point. So it's not new, it's unfinished. Um, the short answer is when control stops working, like when should it end? When control stops working and dignity becomes the goal.
Okay.
Okay, now that's going to sound a little strange and I'll break it up a little bit. I made some notes on this. Um, the deeper cut of this is the role should shift when the child can survive without you.
Mm,
Okay, so the
okay.
role should shift when the child can survive without you.
Okay.
The role actually shifts when the parent, like, so it should shift when the kid can survive without you, but the role will shift when the parent is in acceptance. Okay,
Mm,
right, that a change has occurred.
okay.
So, oftentimes, most of the time, the conflict begins with the parent's inability to accept that the shift has occurred, that the kid is no longer dependent on us to teach, maybe, but more to guide
Okay.
and to release. Yeah.
Yeah.
I no longer get to shape you, I only get to know you. That's the next step.
Mm,
Does that make
okay.
sense?
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, and I was going to say, just, to that further, more conflict happens because the parent is still parenting who the child used to be.
Hmm.
That's right. The parent is still parenting who the child used to be, or
Hmm.
parenting the young adult person now
Right.
based on who they think they are,
Right. Right.
you know. And then the child is reacting to who the parent refuses to stop being.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's a lot. That's a
that's a
lot.
lot.
Because I mean, yeah, you really don't, the way you put it, that you're stop parenting when the child no longer, needs you. But
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I would ask, but don't your children just because it's a family unit always need you on
Hate you.
some level?
Yeah, I could see when you said it that way, I could see your mother's sensitivities, come in, and I could literally see it in your eyes. Let me say this, adult to adult begins when guidance becomes optional and
Gotcha.
respect becomes mutual, not enforced. When we're right, when we're in that dynamic of, and I get to stand a little, child, parent, which is completely necessary, right? That we guide our kids hands close, breath to breath, chest to chest. And, listen, many of us we're not perfect at that.
Right.
But that really is it. But there comes a time that we have to push. They will pull away. We don't even have to
Right.
push them away.
Right.
That's what I say most of the time. The conflict is within the parent. So adult to adult, not parent child.
Gotcha.
Adult
To
to
adult.
adult begins with guidance when guidance becomes optional and respect becomes mutual, not enforced.
And I have to say that's one thing I think I'll say that I have been really good at. And I got that from my own mother, who was very good about, she would give advice, but she would always be respectful and said, "Do you want my opinion?" She wouldn't
Mm,
just freely give it to me. She would ask me
exactly.
that. And then it
Hmm.
has been easier for me than some of my friends that I've seen their adult children become,
Yes.
well, their children become adults, letting go. Because
Yes.
I would always tell my daughter if she would ask me about something, I would, even at a younger age, I would ask, well, in her teenage years, I would like, do you like that? And she, Mom, just give me your
Wonderful.
opinion. I said, I want to make sure I want to make
Mm,
sure it's something you like before I give you my
mm,
opinion, because I don't want my opinion to sway you. This is a decision you have to make.
that's
So
great parenting.
it has been, easier for me to
Mm,
let them go, because one, I know we've done a great job with raising them,
isn't
and
that lovely?
I see it, every day, and how they handle and maneuver in this world. So that
Mm,
has been, one of the things that I'm thankful that I learned from my mother. So, what
perfect.
makes me curious though is, what are adult children actually asking for when they say you don't listen? Because we have
Mm,
that dynamic of not really listening to our adult children. So what are they asking for
mhm,
when they say
mhm,
we're not listening
mhm.
as the parents to our adult children?
Absolutely. I think they're saying, you hear my words, but you're loyal to your version of me.
Wow.
Mhm. You
Wow.
hear my, yes.
That was deep.
I studied really hard when I went to school to become a
You're
psychotherapist.
doing a great job, love. I love it. Wow, that's deep.
This is a topic that's really important to me because I come from one of those families, like many of us, that have just not been able to be cohesive, right? And there's always the one person that feels like they hold the bag, but really these things start before your relationship with your children. It's the pattern along the way. And I truly believe, I mean, certainly today I know better, so I get to do better. You know,
Right, right.
but yeah, we are always so wrapped up in our version. And I was certainly guilty of that as a parent, of
Mm,
who we thought or think our children are versus who they are becoming and who they know they are.
right,
So that's what they hear,
right.
right? You're hearing me. I can see you're hearing me, mom. I can see you're hearing me, dad. But your answers still resemble your version of who you think I am.
Yeah.
So you don't listen, right? When a kid says you don't listen, that's what they're saying. That usually means you interrupt with advice, you defend instead of staying curious. And when you said
Mm,
that you would pose these questions to your daughter, that's you as a parent being curious about where she is, what her thoughts are, what does she want. That's more open. When you tell, it's more closed, right?
hmm. Right,
Um, and you translate their feelings into your intentions. And I think everyone can relate to that, right?
right,
Even
right.
couples inviting siblings, that's right? People translating their feelings into your intentions. When we often talk about that's, excuse my language, that's your crap, right? When we
Right.
say things like that's your crap, that's really what we're talking about. Yeah.
Right. Now, do
Mhm.
you think, and when we're talking about adult sons and adult daughters, do you think as parents of the opposite sex or the same sex um, that we have different relationships as they get older? Because I know I find myself sometimes, because we know our sons take a little longer to mature and grow up, that I find myself
I didn't say it, but
I find
endorsing.
myself, I still find myself sometimes wanting to baby my son a little bit more than my daughter because I'm like, she's got it. She's good.
Oh,
So
Angela,
do you
you're going to hate to hear what I have to say on
what?
this. Without us even realizing, often when we do that, that's a thing. You're not alone, right? But this has a lot to do with gender. With
Mm,
not that this every girl hears this and goes, we're not ready any more than they are.
yeah.
But the boy child, we have been conditioned to put boys on pedestals,
Yes.
to give
Yes.
boys more time and attention,
Yes, you're absolutely
and
right.
get the girls ready for the world.
Yeah.
You see, right? Without even realizing, excuse me, that we fall into gender norms with our own children,
Okay.
societal gender norms, right?
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that something?
That's
Yes.
that makes a lot of sense.
There is a an article I read years ago when I was divorcing, way back when Kennedy was president, and maybe it was Lincoln, I don't know. And there was an article that a woman wrote, to Dear Abby. Remember
Mhm.
Dear Abby,
Yep.
about becoming divorcing her husband and having such amazing close friends, and then finding out that even some of her best friends were sending meals and pies over to her husband.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that is that thought, right? That idea, that what is it? Doctrine
Yeah.
that
And
men are going to suffer more, or they need a
but
little
you
bit more support. Oh, your wife has been cooking for you for years, let's feed him. And
And
this,
that's very interesting because that's exactly what happened when I went to Portugal for 2 weeks. My daughter and my son and everybody calling, Dad, you okay? How you doing? You okay? I know mom's not there. Didn't nobody pick up the phone and say, Hey mom, how you doing? You doing okay?
exactly.
My daughter texts me once or twice. Hi, you just want to check in on you, mom. But
Yeah, yeah, no,
so yeah,
let's
I get I'm like, well,
poor dad
I'm out here in another country. Nobody's
here.
they were
You
like,
know I
Mom,
love
we know
you.
you're okay. We know you're okay. But Dad, I'm like,
Okay, right? So the burden is on the woman to be okay, yet we look to the man to be the strong one. This is interesting, right?
right, right.
So, okay, the question was, though, before we went off the deep end,
So,
was it what? Tell me what the question was.
oh, well, you kind of
The
answered it.
difference in like difference in, right, relationships. Yeah, so that's that. But of course, there are other differences that come into play.
Right,
If there are two or more, not really, even doesn't have to be, two or more relationships. If there are girl children, they tend to respond to mother more, and mother takes. If there are boy children, they tend to respond to father more.
right,
Um, in traditional homes, right? But a
right,
lot of us grow up in single parent homes.
right, right.
And so you get what you get.
You get what you get. Yeah. So, how
Yeah.
do unspoken expectations quickly damage that parent and child relationship?
Okay. This was one. Okay. So unspoken expectations create the most tension between parents and adult children. That's it, right? Unspoken
Mm-hmm.
expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Three big ones. One, gratitude as obedience, right? So,
Gratitude as
yes,
obedience. Okay.
these are unspoken expectations, right? For
Right.
parents, after all I've done, you should.
Yes.
Yeah. as
Yes.
gratitude, as
Yes.
obedience.
Okay.
Access without consent. This is a big one. Access without consent. I'm your parent. I don't need permission. Mhm. Now, this
Okay.
may not be right. This may not be Angela's, jam, but
Hmm.
this is big. Parents, we get high on a horse.
But are we talking about when they're children, or are we talking about when they're
Adults.
adults?
This is why
So there are parents that would still do that. I'm your parent, so I don't need even to their adult children.
we have adult children in marriages of their own where parents are interfering so much that they're destabilizing their marriages.
I don't have that much energy to give my kids. I'm like, look, I love you. If you need my advice, I'm here. If not, I'm staying over here in my
Yeah.
lane. But
Yeah.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. No, this is listen, I'm gosh, I try to, I'm currently working with some young patients in their early 30s, late 20s,
Mm-hmm.
adult professionals,
Mm-hmm.
really dynamic professionals. And there's one female whose mother is interrupting her entire dating process
Mm.
and even offering to sit in the car and wait while she's on her dinner date.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mm.
that mother is having a really difficult time letting go. And while she was raising her children, she was simply raising her children, not developing herself,
Mm.
developing her
Okay.
sense of self. So now, right, as this child is going out on their own, this woman now
Woman.
who made it all the way through higher education, and I mean significantly higher education, the mom doesn't see that. She sees the
Wow.
child. And she wants gratitude because gratitude means obedience, so it's a constant, what have I done for you, haven't I done enough? And it's very hard for adult children, but they begin to question, right? Am I doing the right thing? Should I be listening to my parents?
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then
Wow.
sameness, this may sound a little weird, but sameness disguised as love. I just want you to make the right choices. That's really code for the choices I would make. So often parents, adult parents, are still looking for their adult children to have the same career paths of them, to
Okay.
to do the same thing, to parent their children the
The
same
same
way,
way. Yeah.
right? So what this is that even as the adult children, that age begins at 18, right? That's an adult child.
Yeah.
It is.
No, it
Yeah.
is. It is
Yeah.
legally,
I
but
mean, they're young adults.
their brain
Yes,
is not.
listen, they're young adults, but at that age, a young adult child is really needing a parent to see them or parents to see them at the age they are
Right.
as young adults, not children.
Right.
Even
Right.
even if they need, even as they need more time, we need up to the age of 26 for
Right.
full development,
Right.
right? And for people who are curious, who now have to have the wonderful benefit, it shouldn't be benefit, of having their adult children on their medical benefits to the age of 26 now, right, in America.
Right. Right.
And that's because we finally subscribe to the research that's used around the rest of the world, that full development doesn't commence until the age of 26.
Right. Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those are the three. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so is it possible to love your adult children deeply and still need better boundaries?
Okay, say that to me again.
Is it possible to love your adult children deeply, but
Mm-hmm.
still need better boundaries?
Absolutely. And I also want to talk about the boundary going both ways, right? We do, certainly there are situations where a parent is needing their young adult child, right, and now their adult child to be more independent, to
Right.
be less dependent on them, to push a little bit away from, the the breast, right?
Right.
So it's not
Yeah.
always apparent, but the answer is absolutely. In fact, boundaries are how adult love survives. That's how it survives.
Yeah.
Without boundary, love turns into control, right? Concerns turn into surveillance,
Mm.
help turns into resentment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boundaries say, I love you enough not to manage your life,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I love myself enough not to abandon mine, which is a
Mm.
little bit of what we spoke about earlier. That's not rejection, that's maturity.
Right.
I love you enough to manage to allow you to manage your own life,
Yeah.
and I love myself enough not to abandon mine.
Exactly. And
It's
I
these
think,
very strong boundaries.
yeah. And I think as especially as mothers, it's it's harder to do that sometimes, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Because I noticed like with my husband, well, actually, I think for in our relationship, it's more him than me trying to let
Oh,
go. I'm the
okay.
one who's like, they're
Mm-hmm.
good. They're good. Let's we gotta do our thing with they're good. And he,
Right.
he
Yeah.
he likes to hold on a little more, but
Mm-hmm.
that's usually, at
Mm-hmm.
least in the groups and the parenting friends that we have, parent friends that we have, it's usually the mother who's just, trying to figure out those boundaries still with her
Yeah.
children.
And listen, we're keeping this really light,
Hmm.
but underneath this all are historical dramas, right? It's history
Yeah.
of how we were parented,
Right.
the what we received, what we didn't receive.
Yeah.
And we're talking specifically about Black and Brown families.
Right.
Many of our Black and Brown families, like it or not, grew up in poverty, grew up in struggle.
Right.
When
Right.
there's struggle and poverty, the family relationships that pours down into the foundation of the family. We
Yeah.
start to see alcohol, we start to see drugs, we see affairs, we see domestic violence,
Right.
and so these experiences are what shapes us, for better or for worse, as parents. And many adults have children without having a clue about how to guide them or grow them to be healthy, successful, progressive adults.
Right.
It's hard to do that when you haven't had that yourself. So a lot of conflict develops from this.
Right.
And particularly, I speak from being a woman today. I'm so proud of myself and I have really a good life. That, as you know, I was a teenage mother. And I'm going to be very clear, a 16-year-old mother doesn't know nothing.
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. I was so afraid, so alone, so confused. And
Yeah.
so I did my best on the small bit of knowledge I had, which was just hardly anything.
Right.
And so a lot of the conflict, right, for us often comes from our historical foundation. And it's a good idea, if we can, to try to take some of these words to heart
Yeah.
to make it better for the time you have left.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what does repair look like when both the parent and the adult child feel misunderstood?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. It's important to understand that repair is not an agreement. Repair is recognition,
Okay.
right? So repair is recognition. I see how that landed, even if that wasn't intent. I can see now that I offended you. I hold your feelings without explaining myself, right? And I talk about this often, listening beyond understanding. And now I'm actually saying being heard beyond being understood.
Being heard beyond being understood. Okay.
Yeah, right. Because if being understood is your goal, then you might be pushing at something. But to
Mm,
be right, if in
got you.
listening, allowing someone to hear you then without being understood, I'm willing to change my behavior, not just my tone. That's
Mm,
right. That's
That's a big
change,
one.
right?
Yeah, that's,
Because
yeah.
change means doing some work.
Yes.
Behavior
Yes.
is window dressing,
Mm.
right? It's
Okay.
a scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. Repair fails. Let's see. What do I want to say? Repair fails when people want exoneration, not connection.
Exoneration, not connection. Okay. Okay. I'm repeating all this so I can
Mhm.
get it in my head. So,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Forgive me. Actually, how can I just connect? Where do I need to meet you for connection? This is powerful because when you get to that place of letting go and being willing to make the connection,
Hmm.
even if it's tiny,
Hmm.
it's really peaceful. It's very fulfilling.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, how does a parent grieve the version of the relationship they thought they'd have?
This is so hard. This one is so hard. And I have to say, there is a lady that when this goes live, because we are pre-recording, I'm not sure that I was supposed to say that, but when it does air, there is a lady that will be watching. She's one of my clients, and quite honestly, I hope, Angela, that you reach out to her. She reaches out to you. I would love to see her. She's a 68-year-old woman interviewed on this topic, and I join her in that grief of the struggle that parents often have with their adult children. And I think, the bottom line is that, listen, we know in life that there are good people and bad people, evil people, and
Mhm.
benevolent people. Most of us are good people. That's the bottom line. Most of us are good people. Like me, this woman had her child at 16, her children, both children by the age of 18, and she
Wow.
had almost no guidance. And there is a assessment called the ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences.
Mhm.
This person clicks 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay. So now in this deep adulthood, adult children in their 40s, there is estrangement. Um, and this is the deepest pain that this woman carries.
Mm.
And so I've been working with her to be okay and to not hold, all of the responsibility. This is a big grief because the truth is most parents want to have a loving relationship with their children.
Right.
And I believe most adult children want to have a loving relationship with their parents. But just like parents, difficulty letting go, children suffer with letting go too. Adult
Wow.
children will hold on to resentments and hold on to ideas about their parents fresh into their adulthood. They too have a choice
Yeah.
to see their parents as they are
Mm.
today, not when they were 10, not right, because
Right.
parents grow too.
Parents grow too. Yes.
So parents are grieving the fantasy of closeness, and that's what my patient really grieves, the fantasy of closeness, the imagined future, right? We all had an imagined future,
Right.
growing older with our children, looking after mom. I've come in with some cupcakes, the
Yeah.
belief that love guarantees harmony, and it doesn't.
Doesn't.
And
It's
if you know me, anyone that knows me well has heard me say, ad infinitum, often love is not enough,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
Often love is not enough. So the healing question, can I love the relationship I have? And ding, 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 this is the big one, folks. And this is the work right here. And I really wrote these points out for her, like thinking of this patient. And we met over the weekend and we were really working on this. Um, can I love the relationship I have instead of mourning the one I thought I'd get?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a good example. Um, maybe a phone call, maybe the relationship is reduced to a phone call that comes once a month or once every other month or a not so close card. But those things are still happening. Before, when both were trying, it was conflict.
Yeah.
Could I be okay with this? And could I honor this, what feels small and feels like a disconnect? Because I had some other ideas as a parent in mind. Could I just make this okay?
Yeah.
When we can do that, we might actually open the door for another miracle to occur. We make it safe for our adult children
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to us. And I have to say this as a mom, amazing things can happen. I don't, again, I don't want to get into personal stories, but a time went many years ago where one of my daughters would not speak to me for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, and I simply respected, right? And I made this prayer to God and to myself, a commitment that I would do nothing, I would push nothing, I would drive nothing, that I had done all I could do.
Right.
And I prayed every day one prayer that she would love herself and have, a beautiful life. And every day just pray for God that she can love herself, because I've always said it's really not important whether my children love me. It's really not important that they love me. It's important that they love themselves.
Right.
And if they can love themselves, then I'm happy, right? That is the best thing that can happen to a parent, really. And I don't think anyone disagrees.
Exactly.
But anyway, in this period of waiting, right? 5 years go by. I get a call from my other daughter, and she says something very funny. I'm living abroad at this time because, I was living in England for a very
Right.
large chunk of my life.
Right.
And working for the British government, y'all. And what is that? What did they call me? A traitor. I was a traitor to my own government for a while. As I they would call us traitors. So anyway, look how they've traded us. Okay, we're not talking about.
No, we're not.
We're not talking about politics, but so 5 years go by. I get a phone call from my other daughter, and she says, Mom, or mother, because for some strange reason she calls me mother. Mother, one of your daughters is pregnant and it's not me. And she's going to be calling you. I just want to warn you. And it was wonderful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time went on. I have a 14-year-old grandson now.
Uh-huh.
And that was that sort of amazing pulling back out of necessity, not because I liked it, not because it felt good, but accepting that whatever was okay. And also because I'm a tremendous woman of faith, knowing that God always has a plan and that He always orders my steps and their steps too.
Yeah.
And then the call comes. So if we can do this, right? If we can love the relationship we have, we may open the door for other miracles to occur.
I like that.
And even if it breaks down again, repeat. There are still more miracles. God always has miracles waiting.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So what does a healthy relationship between parents and their adult children actually look like? And I'm talking about real life, not in theory.
Okay. In real life. In real life. Okay. Well, it looks ordinary, not intense.
Okay.
Right? Ordinary adults. These are my children. This is my mother. This is my father. Conversations that don't require fixing.
Yeah.
Right? Conversations that, I remember sitting down and having amazing adult conversations with my own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But this part here, conversations that don't require fixing, I didn't get that until like yesterday.
And what do you mean by what do you mean by
it's just
conversations that don't
being present and in conversation, learning about who they are now as your adult children, right?
Okay.
Space, which is hard, right? Because parents, our whole role, if we were in that role, was to fix.
Right.
So to be, to not be the fixer. Space without punishment. This is a big one. What do you think I'm saying when I say space without punishment?
Space without punishment, to me, I would think just giving them the space to say what they need to say or do what they need to do in order to learn without any consequences.
Hmm. Well, baby, yeah, sure, no. And when I was thinking about literal space. So
Oh,
oftentimes, parents, you've not, visits that become like emotional invoices. You've not been here for 3 weeks, or
oh, that okay.
yes,
That makes
guilty,
okay, because we are
right?
talking about adult children, not talking about young
Right. You've
children.
not
Oh,
been here,
got you.
right? Oh, well, you
Oh,
always visit Tim's family, or Jane said you were at the movies last week. No one invited me.
got you.
The guilt
Got you.
trip,
The
right?
guilt trip,
The
yes, and
guilt
not
trip.
spending more time with me as
Yeah,
as the older
right.
or as the parent. Yes,
Yeah. And with that,
gotcha.
right? Mutual curiosity. This is where the laughter returns, where we
Yeah,
get to learn our children as adults,
right.
and we get to know that there's a time to take a back seat. You know who did this? Michelle. Think of Michelle Obama and her mom. God bless her mom. Rest in peace.
Hmm.
At some point, her mom had to kick back and say, Michelle's the leader now,
Right,
right?
right,
Michelle's got this. Imagine Michelle's mom trying to roll up in there to give her some advice.
right,
But I can imagine Michelle saying, Mom, what would you do in this situation?
right, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think as parents to adult children, we have to give ourselves the credit to say, oh, if you truly believe I have done the best I could, I think I've done a good job, wasn't perfect,
That's
and
it.
then live your own life. And this is what, this whole,
Mhm.
my whole, theory is about, especially as mothers, at a certain age, it's time for you to live your own life and trust that you've done the best for your children and you can do no more. Even if you screwed up,
That's it.
at this
Even if you
point,
screw it up, you
nothing
can't do
else
anything
change. You
else.
can't do
That's
anything
it.
else.
That's
Maybe
it.
go get some therapy to
Go
figure
get
out
some
how you
therapy. I have openings. And right now on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good plug, good plug. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I'm so glad you said that, right? Most of the suffering between adult parents and children isn't caused by distance. It's caused by hanging on to the role that no longer fits.
Right,
Freedom comes when love evolves.
right.
And sometimes love has to evolve in the absence of our children.
Mm,
And, when we talk about even if we screw it up, many parents screw it up.
yeah.
I don't think, unless they were, I mean, listen, you know, as you know, I have a book. I read for you, right? I
Hmm.
read,
Hmm.
yes,
You
I
read
have
some.
a book a beautiful book I'm working on, and I'll tell a little bit of the story when that comes out. But some of us were simply unloved children. And I want to shout out to any adult living and hears this and knows what it feels like to not be loved by a mother or father.
Mm,
That's a big thing, man. Yeah.
mm,
Many unloved children, adult children, have children.
right,
Um, we may not get it completely right, but it's not a death sentence.
right.
If you did not abuse your child and like make it permanent damage, hopefully, like, yeah, parents have a right. Parents that didn't get it right have a right to live in peace, right? We have a right to live in peace, and I think the big job is helping parents understand that they can love their children from a distance,
Right.
and they can pray. They can put their love into their prayers, and but still move forward. And the advice that I give to all is to always be willing to answer the phone when it rings, whether it's a week, after conflict, a month after conflict, or years after conflict.
Right.
Make your mind up to let that conflict go.
Mm,
And when your kid calls, just go, hey, how you doing, honey?
right. Right.
right?
Keep it simple.
Keep
Keep
it
it
simple.
easy.
How you doing, honey? Right?
Right. Exactly.
Make it about them. I'd love to hear how you're doing.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I know this is because this is hard,
Yeah.
right? We love our children. Our children love us.
Right.
Sometimes our children don't love us. Sometimes we don't really like them very much. But we don't have to keep pounding at each other.
No, I agree. I agree. Temple, thank you as always. Your insight, your knowledge, always, I always learn something new every time I talk to you or have you on here. So thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully, we can get a schedule again once you're settled in your
Yes.
new home in Portugal. We can get a schedule together to have you back on because I thoroughly enjoy you coming on and us having these
Thank
conversations. And
you.
hopefully, my audience does too,
Thank you.
because you give a lot of wisdom and insight and knowledge into your profession. So thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you.
And it is my pleasure. It's really my pleasure, Angela, to be back here with you. And I want to thank Angela Parker for sitting in my cold, brand new, furnitureless apartment in Lisbon, waiting for my gas and electric to be turned on.
Hey, I enjoyed it because that gave me the opportunity to see what's the real deal out there. So
Yes.
I enjoyed it. So it was not a
Yes.
problem at all.
Oh,
All right,
wonderful.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And please, again, remember to like, subscribe, send this, share this with another lady who, might find value in this conversation. So,
Help
all
a
right,
sister out.
everybody. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye.